Sam Hart is one of the longest serving members of North Charleston City Council. And this November, he's asking residents of District 7 to give him 4 more years to tackle issues such as affordable housing and gentrification. I sit down one-on-one with Sam for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Mr. Sam Hart, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. It's always an honor to sit down with you one-on-one. And I understand, recently you had some tragedy in your family. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing, my mother was 105 plus 11 month. If she had made it to this month and the 20th day, she would be 106. And we are mending. We've had her a long time. And we give thanks to God that she lived that long.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And I know in between all of that, you are running for re-election once again for North Charleston City Council.
Yes, I am running again for that position as City Council of District 7.
What is it like to be Sam Hart these days?
Well, it's good to be, Sam Hart. We've had a good raising. My mother taught the values needed to be successful. She puts education. She sent me to a private school, Avery Institute, and she had that you should have manners, and she said manners will open doors that other things will not do.
And, you talk about some of those values, and I know you're trying to instill a lot of those values in many of the residents in District 7. Let me talk to you about a couple of issues that are going on right now. Affordable housing.
Yeah.
When it comes to affordable housing in Russellville, tell me, Mrs. Hart, what brought you to a vote of no at that time?
Affordable housing?
Yes, sir.
In
Russellville.
Russellville? Was this some years ago? Because Russellville is not my district.
Okay.
Not in my district. But when you talk about affordable housing, you can look at several elements. One is owner-occupied.
Yeah.
Most people with the medium income are renters living in apartments, and they have what you're talking about, a medium income. Housing now is so high. In other words, people making a medium income of $7 an hour cannot afford the high price of housing in this day and time. So they have to live somewhere, so they have to look for housing that they can afford. You see.
And is there, how many people in District 7 need affordable housing now?
Well, I have never looked at the indicators, assess the need, but I imagine it's maybe about, let's go 50-50.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say with the affordable housing, when the developers were to, if for instance they were to come into District 7, what type of incentives do you want the developers to bring in for the community?
Well, I look at it. Developers are not in the business of building affordable homes. They are in the market, the housing market, to build homes to make a profit. That's what the developers do. The cost of materials, the land, and the land probably dictates, the price of the home. So there's got to be some incentive given to the developers to really build homes that the medium income person can afford.
What's the medium income in District 7?
Well, I'd say the medium income in District 7 probably is about 50-50.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay. And let me take you over to the old naval base. I'm curious, when that took place, when did you see the appraisal for that deal?
Repeat that question.
Yes, sir. The naval base. I'm curious, when did you see the appraisal for that particular deal?
For what particular deal?
The naval base.
The naval base with the city?
Yes, sir.
I think the appraisal for the naval base with the city was adequate, to the city, because we were given, some land to do this. We built the riverfront park
Yes.
at the naval base, and we still have more land that will be need to be developed at the naval base. So I think it was adequate.
Okay. Let me turn you over to the food desert. Obviously, developers essentially submitted their plans to North Charleston City Council. What part of their plans did you agree with, and what part of the plans that you didn't agree with?
With the developers?
Yes, sir.
Well, you take the naval base, not the naval base, but the area over there across from the hospital.
Yeah.
We have offered various incentive for trying to bring a food desert here. We have offered many entrepreneurs, various deals in trying to get them to bring, food desert here. That spot has everything that a marketer or a person in the food business, everything. You have availability, you have the population, you have the people passing through, and you have the space, but yet still they want to say that there is a crime level in that area. And I don't know why they have not taken upon themselves the offer that the city has made to them. But we're still working on it.
And what is that offer, Mr. Hart?
Well, first the offer was that if they come and they do not make a profit within the year that they're there, that the city would supplement them until they do make a profit. And so that was it. We would not let them lose their investment, and so we, would have offered them or would give them X number of dollars if they did not make a profit. Within the first year.
In the first year. Well, then, what is the crime level in that area?
Well, I don't think you have a crime level within that area. It was when the first store was there, and I don't remember the name of that store, that, they were going in there and taking food and in that area at that time. So I don't think you have a high crime level in that area now. With the advent of Hope 6 there and the homes that are there, they're not substandard homes in that area at this time.
How many more people are you looking at as far as bringing the grocery store to that area?
Well, I think we have gone the gamut.
Okay.
With Bilo, with Piggly Wiggly, a food industry in Greenville, and we have looked at it, but they're in the business of making money, and so those who have studied the area have decided at this time maybe not to come. So that's just the gist. You can't make them come. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But you can try to make it very favorable to them, and it's up to them.
Up to them. What are the alternative plans are on the table now, since there's not a big grocery store coming there soon?
Well, the city's still looking at a food desert. The city's not in business the city's not trying to run a business. We are not in the city to run a business, to build a grocery store. We do provide a service, and that service is in public safety, in code enforcement and policemen, and in generally running the city.
Now, you talk about policing. How's that going as far as policies in the North Charleston Police Department for your district, District 7?
Oh, great. Crime has gone down in my district. The police chief that we have is working with the neighborhoods, and if citizens do not get involved, crime could escalate. And so with citizen involvement, this have had a big effect on the crime level in that community, or in the district, or in the city.
Where in District 7 should citizens get involved with right now before crime happens?
Well, if you see something, say something.
Okay.
That's the gist of taking the crime level down. A lot of citizens do not want to get involved for fear of retaliation. So, you got to get involved. So if you see something, say something. The citizen know more about what's going on in their community than the policeman. And so they got to get involved. And as I said, if you see something, say something.
You talk about getting involved. Let me talk to you about voter suppression. That's a big issue all over the country. And I know the upcoming election is very crucial to many people in North Charleston. When it comes to annexation and voter suppression, how many people in your district will be affected by that in your mind?
Voter suppression?
Yes, sir.
I don't think, I don't see voter suppression in my district. If they have the right, credential when they go to the poll, if they take care of the need, if they have moved out of the district or move into the district and they don't do what they need to do, show at the poll, they're going to be, stopped, be hindered from voting.
And when you talk about obviously change, There's always talk about gentrification. How worried are you about that, Mr. Sam Hart?
Well, gentrification, I'm very worried about it. One of the things that I see in gentrification is simply you have few people owning vast amount of land, and they do have a right to sell their property. I can tell you about in the city of North Charleston that you have on Azalea Drive, but only one family owned all of that property. Liberty Homes, you had two brothers out of Orangeburg owning all of that property. And so they have a right to sell their property, and people who are renters on that property, when the owner want to sell their property, they have to move, you see. So that's one of the things that's driving gentrification. You have few people on a vast amount of land, and there are people who are renters staying there. And when this person decides to sell their property, they got to move.
Yeah.
So that's what I think driving gentrification is, that few people on a vast amount of land.
And, I talked with Bob King last Friday about this, and it's probably an issue in your district too, but Airbnbs. How do you look at that issue? Airbnbs. Vacation rentals.
Vacation rentals. I know I call it something else.
Okay.
You said Airbnbs. I don't think that it is detrimental to a community. People coming in, as long as they come in there and behave. We have two in Liberty Hill.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't know that they're there because they don't come in the community. They come in the community just to stay there, and they go to where they are going, maybe downtown or to some event, and they decide that they would like this type of situation, then go into a hotel. They have probably more freedom in staying in a home and doing what they do and go about their business. Yeah.
Now, obviously, when you talk about all of that, everyone's also talking about growth. How worried are you about that, Mr. Hart?
But growth, I look at growth, well, they say progress can be good, then it can be detrimental. I look at growth as it comes in. The probably detrimental part is that the infrastructure not able to keep up with the growth. They put heavy demands on the infrastructure when growth come in. And if the infrastructure can keep pace with growth, I have nothing against it, because God is not building any more or giving any more land. The land that we have can only hold so much. And there comes a time that you have to look at the indicators that of growth. What is the indicators telling you? And what is your baseline? You know where you are, because your baseline have a history and it tells you where you are. but it also have a forecast as to how far you can go. And when you have to make the curve to change the direction, maybe put a moratorium on growth.
Is that possible in North Charleston?
It's possible, but right now we can grow horizontal because we have the space, we have the land, which is different from the city of Charleston. They have to grow vertically, go up. We can spread out.
Sure.
With growth. But like I say, God is not making any more land. You see, what's here is here, and it comes a time that you have to take a hard look on growth and the demands that growth will make on the city.
When you take a hard look at your career as a city council member, and obviously you're a retired, principal, what is that one community accomplishment that you can look to and say, hey, this is what I've done for District 7?
Well, I can look at many things. Number one, I was able to have 21 homes built at no cost to the individual. The only thing they had to do was have ownership to the property. The city went in there with the government program, tore down the home and replace it. The only thing they had to do was live in it 10 years. And at the end of the 10 years, they had ownership, complete ownership. The other is rehabilitation, going in the homes and tearing out and, putting new materials in there. And that was 29 homes that I was able to have rehabilitated, emergency repair, and also I look at the community. I had a community center built in Liberty Hill for the senior citizens, and I had different things that was done in the community, like streets resurface in the community, speed bumps in the community, and sidewalks, curb cuts.
Okay.
Because one time on Montague, if you would be walking or riding a bicycle, when you got to the street, you had to step down. So the curb cuts allow bicycle to, for you to ride a bicycle without stopping and coming over, a hump the drop that is there.
Okay.
So I think that, and plus I've spent $3.9 million in my district in doing improvements in my district. I think those are the accomplishments that I've had, done in the district.
Now, why should people give you 4 more years?
Well, I look at the city. I look at our baseline. I look at what has been done in the city. And I know that there is a future forecast that we have. People are coming here daily to the city. And when they come to the city, there are certain needs like housing and other things that they need. There is a critical need for transportation. There are people that in this critical, when I say critical box, you have transportation. When you get to a place, you need transportation to get to your job. Now, they are driving, they can drive right to their job. But if they Transportation, there are people in this critical, I say realm, that if they take the bus to get off, they don't want to walk 5 or 10 blocks to their job. So that's one thing that we need to work on. Then we have a special population in the city, like the elderlies and the disabled and teenagers. We need to work on trying to meet their needs. And I think that in this area that I do have something to offer. I want to, work with those agencies that needs to work with the city to accomplish this, you see. And our baseline, and as we look at the indicators, which is a measurement that to tell us that this needs to be done and that we need to work with those agencies that can help the city to get this done. And that's why I'm running again, to listen to my citizens, to listen at their need and what is needed in the community, and to work to try to bring this to fruition.
Sam Hart, the honorary Sam Hart, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Okay, thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.